Welcome to Chapter 5 Canada's History, Part 3. Challenge in the West. When Canada took over the Northwest region from Hudson Bay Company in 1869, the 12,000 Métis of Red River were not consulted. In response, Louis Riel seized Fort Garry. Ottawa sent soldiers in 1870 to take Fort Garry. Riel fled to U.S. and Canada established a new province, Manitoba. Riel was elected to Parliament, but never took his seat. In 1885, Second Rebellion happened in Saskatchewan, which led to trial of Riel's and execution for high treason. Louis Riel is seen as defender of Métis rights and father of Manitoba. First Prime Minister of Canada John Macdonald established Northwest Mounted Police, now Royal Canadian Mounted Police, in 1873 to pacify the West. Regina became headquarter of RCMP. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP or the Mounties, are the national police force and one of Canada's best-known symbols. Major General Sam Steele was RCMP officer, he was frontier officer and loyal to the Queen. A railway from sea to sea. British Columbia joined Canada in 1871 after Ottawa promised to build a railway to West Coast. On November 7, 1885, a powerful symbol of unity was completed when Donald Smith, director of the Canadian Pacific Railway, CPR, drove the last spike. Canadian Pacific Railways was financed by British and American investors and built by European and Chinese labor. Later Chinese were subject to discrimination, including head tax, a race-based entry fee. Government of Canada apologized in 2006 for this discriminatory policy. Moving westward. Around 1900, 1 million American and British immigrated to Canada. Sir Wilfrid Laurier became first French-speaking Canadian Prime Minister. His picture is on $5 bill. First World War. Most Canadians were proud to be part of the British Empire. Over 7,000 volunteered to fight in the South African War, 1899 to 1902, popularly known as the Boer War. In 1900, Canadians took part in the battles of Paardeberg, Horse Mountain, and Leeuwfontein, victories that strengthened national pride in Canada. When Germany attacked Belgium and France in 1914 and Britain declared war, Ottawa formed the Canadian Expeditionary Force, later the Canadian Corps. More than 600,000 Canadians served in the war, most of them volunteers, out of a total population of 8 million. On the battlefield, the Canadians proved to be tough, innovative soldiers. The Canadian Corps captured Vimy Ridge in April 1917, with 10,000 killed or wounded, securing the Canadians' reputation for valor as the shock troops of the British Empire. Vimy Day is celebrated on April 9. Regrettably, from 1914 to 1920, Ottawa interned over 8,000 former Austro-Hungarian subjects, mainly Ukrainian men, as enemy aliens, in 24 labor camps across Canada, even though Britain advised against the policy. In 1918, under the command of General Sir Arthur Currie, Canada's greatest soldier, the Canadian Corps advanced alongside the French and British Empire troops in the last 100 days. These included the victorious Battle of Amiens on August 8, 1918, which the Germans called the Black Day of the German Army. Women get to vote. Women's suffrage movement is the effort made by women to achieve right to vote. Dr. Emily Stowe was its founder and first Canadian woman to practice medicine in Canada. In 1916, Manitoba became the first province to grant voting rights to women. Federal government in 1917 gave women a right to vote in federal elections, first to nurses at the battlefront, then to women related to men in active wartime service. In 1918, most Canadian female citizens over age of 21 were granted a right to vote. Agnes MacPhail became the first woman MP in 1921. Remembrance Day. Remembrance Day is celebrated on 11th of November. Canadians wear a red poppy and observe a moment of silence on 11th hour of the 11th month for 1 million brave men and women and 110,000 who had given their lives. Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae composed poem, In Flanders Fields, in 1915. Between the Wars. In 1929, stock market crash led to the Great Depression or Dirty Thirties. Unemployment reached 27% in 1933. Bank of Canada was established in 1934. Phil Edwards was a Canadian track and field champion. Second World War. Second World War began in 1939 when Hitler invaded Poland and conquered most of Europe. More than 1 million Canadians served in World War II, out of population of 11.5 million. The Royal Canadian Air Force, RCAF, took part in the Battle of Britain and provided a high proportion of Commonwealth aircrew in bombers and fighter planes over Europe. 130,000 crewmen were trained in Canada under British Commonwealth Air Training Plan. Royal Canadian Navy, RCN, saw its finest hour in Battle of the Atlantic. At the end of Second World War, Canada had the third largest navy in the world. Pacific War. Japan invaded the Aleutian Islands and attacked a lighthouse in Vancouver Island, launched fire balloons over BC and the prairies, grossly maltreated Canadian prisoners of war captured at Hong Kong. Japan surrendered on August 14, 1945, the end of 4 years of war in Pacific. Regrettably, the state of war and public opinion in BC led to the forcible relocation of Canadians of Japanese origin by the federal government and the sale of their property without compensation. This occurred even though the military and the RCMP told Ottawa that they posed little danger to Canada. The Government of Canada apologized in 1988 for wartime wrongs and compensated the victims. Thank you for watching. For more content on Canadian Citizenship Test, like, subscribe and share.